Okay, so good day everyone. This will be the discussion for exercise in Chemistry 7.1, focusing on analytical sampling. Okay, so for the learning outcomes of this exercise, you should be able to examine different sources of variances using nested design and determine the sampling constant of the sample. So basically, this is the content of our discussion for this video. So we have the sources of variance, we have the nested design, we have the types of sampling, the types of sample, determination of amount of sample, and some sample problems, as well as the overall summary of this discussion. So where do the differences come from? So we have different sources of variances. So as discussed, we have here some definitions. First, it is a measure of how far the data set is spread out. So this is your variance. Suppose you have this pepper. So you can see here that the variances among this pepper constitute color, sizes, the length, and so on. Okay? So how varied are the colors of the fruits? How varied the length and the roundness of the fruits are? So variance gives you a general idea of how distributed the data are from the mean. Okay? So where does variance come from? So we have several factors that may be considered as the sources of variance. So we have here the sampling, we have the sample preparation, and we have the measurement. Okay? So the combination of these variances constitute the total variance. So kailangan natin i-calculate yung total variance and may contribution si sampling, si sample preparation, and si measurement doon sa total variance na yon. So let's discuss more about sampling. So it arises from the fact that the analysis performed was done on a sample rather than the population. So suppose you have here a certain population. So pag kumuha ka ng isa dyan, or several from this population, you're just doing sampling. So as much as possible, we want the samples to be the representative of the whole population. Okay? That's why we make sure that tama yung amount ng substance na kukunin natin from the sample. Okay? Next, sample preparation. It arises from errors and variations in processing of samples to produce the analyte solution. So examples of sample preparation includes dissolution, dilution, digestion, precipitation. So di ba, na-mention natin na kapag nagsa-sample prep tayo, minsan we make sure that isang tao lang yung nagpapipet, isang tao lang yung nag-dilute to mark so that mabawasan natin yung error brought about by sample preparation. Okay? So from here, from the sample preparation, we will transfer it to our container. Okay? Then once we have transferred to our container, we will now proceed with getting the measurement of that analyte. Okay? So it arises from the variations that occur during the use of an instrument or during analyses. So in our case, so we make use of UV spectrophotometer. So in different uses of spectrophotometer gives you variations in the measurement. Okay? So for some classical techniques, so we have here typimetry as well. So we have here nested design as we evaluate our variances. Okay? So for example, we have here an illustration on the upper left corner. So before you proceed with the formulation, so there are several factors before you can proceed to the final formulation. And we have to take note of the following factors as we observe them. Okay? So in that case, nested design is a set of experimental design that apply hierarchical combinations wherein some combinations are not studied because the levels cannot be duplicated or reused. So nested design can be used to evaluate the individual contribution of various sources to the total variance. Okay? So in our case, we have four-level nested design considering four factors. Okay? So we have in our exercise, we have sampling, we have sample preparation, we have different positioning of the sample cell, and variance brought about by the spectrometer. So we have here 4 levels. So in level 1, we will divide our sample into 4 quadrants. So we have here quadrants 1. Okay. We have here quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So suppose we have here your sample, we divide this into 4 quadrants. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Then in each quadrant, you will get a certain amount of sample. So suppose this is x grams of sample from quadrant X. That X gram, suppose this is your X gram, you will divide this into 2 and you will get a certain amount from this half. Let's say this is Y grams. Okay? Y grams. So that Y grams will now be your 1A and 1B. Okay? So this is your 1A and this is your 1B. So from 1/2 of the certain amount of sample from a certain quadrant, so you will proceed with the sample preparation as you put this in 50 ml Void flask. Okay. So as you put your sample here, you will subdivide this sample into 2 again. And you will place this in a test tube. Okay? So this test tube serves as your 1A1 and 1A2. Okay? Then this one test tube will be read twice on your spectrophotometer without changing the position of the sample cell. So this is your, suppose, reading 1, read 1, and read 2. So basically, you have your absorbance here. And this absorbance is your 1A1, 1, A1A, and 1A1B. Okay? So you will do this throughout all the levels here. Okay? So basically, this illustration shows you this one, this one, this one, and this one. So this is your ABS 1 and ABS 2. Okay? So at level 4, we check the variance due to the spectrophotometer. So basically, you will put your sample in the cuvette and you will read this twice without moving or removing the cuvette from the spectrophotometer. Next, for the level 3, you have to remove it in such a way that you will read 1A1 from the second half of the 50 ml vol flask and you will read 1A2 from the second half of the 50 ml vol flask. Then for level 2 naman, you have to read vol flask 1 versus this one, vol flask 2. Then for level 1, you have to compare the results from quadrant 1 as compared to the results from quadrant 2 as compared to the results of quadrant 3 and quadrant 4. Okay, so this will be the flow of the experiment here in analytical sampling. So in that case, we have 4 levels and the S squared corresponds to variance, as you may recall from your statistics. So you have variance from level 4, variance from level 3, variance from level 2, and variance from level 1. For variances in level 4, this corresponds to the variance due to spectrometer. Okay? Then for level 3, it is the combination or combinational variance due to spectrometer and position of the cell. For level 2, it is the combinational variance of spectrometer, position of the cell, and sample preparation. And for variance in level 1, this is the total or the sum of all variances due to the 4 factors mentioned earlier. So this is the whole thing plus the sampling or the variance due to sampling. Okay? So how do we calculate for the variances? So for level 4, so we get the sum of square of the difference in level 4 divided by 8n. Okay? And this is actually equal to the variance due to spectrophotometer. Okay? Then for level 3, we have mentioned that this is the combination of the variance due to spectro and variance due to position. So it makes sense here that you can see the contribution of spectro and position here. And for level 3, it is just the summation or the sum of square of the difference in the level 3 results over 4n, where n is the number of level 1 samples. Okay? Next, for level 2, again, this is a cumulative effect of spectrometer, position of the cell, and sample preparation. And it's just equal to the sum of square of the difference in the level 2 results over 2n. And for level 1, it is the cumulative variances due to spectrometer, position of the cell, sample prep, and sampling. And it's just equal to the summation or sum of square of the difference of the result from the mean over n minus 1. So this is just a summary of the effect of the factors for the 4-level nested design. So we have here different types of sampling. So how do we perform sampling? So there are several types of sampling. So we have the random sampling, we have stratified sampling, and then we have judgmental sampling and convenience sampling. So for random sampling, suppose this is the whole population, you just get randomly from the whole population. So samples are obtained at random from the population, and it makes no assumption about the target population, thus less bias, but it requires plenty of time and resources. Okay? So an example of a random sampling is a technique used in analytical chemistry to select samples from a population in such a way that every member has an equal chance of being chosen. So this method helps eliminate bias and ensures that the sample represents the population accurately. Okay, so this is some examples. So a scenario, a chemist is assessing the quality of drinking water from a municipal supply to check for contaminants like heavy metals, bacteria, and chemicals. So first, you have to define the population. So the population consists of all the water sources in the municipality supply. So this may include treatment plants, storage tanks, and distribution points. So how will you determine the sample size? So the chemists decide on the total number of samples needed for analysis. So let's say it's just 50 samples. Okay? So how do we proceed with the sampling? So the chemist creates a list of all possible sampling points. Then using a random number generator or software, the chemist randomly selects 50 points from the list. Then the collection of sample will be done on the 50 selected random points, and the collected samples are analyzed for contaminants using the methods such as AAS for heavy metals, or GC for volatile organic compounds. So that is one of the example of the random sampling. So another type of sampling is a stratified sampling. Okay. So it considers the distinct properties of several components of a population. Differences in properties leads to stratification. So as mentioned, this is one of the examples in the food industry. Suppose meron kang isang sako ng patatas and you have to analyze that one sack of potato. So sometimes what we do is we get samples from the top, from the middle, and from the bottom. Okay? So next we have judgmental sampling. So it uses prior information as guide to the selection of samples, more biased compared to random sampling, hence it requires less samples. So judgmental sampling, also known as non-probability sampling, is a method where samples are selected based on the researcher's knowledge and judgment rather than random selection. Okay? In analytical chemistry, this approach can be useful when specific criteria or conditions are needed to ensure that the samples represent the target population accurately. So let's give a scenario. Okay, so a chemist is studying the concentration of heavy metals in urban soil due to suspected contamination from nearby industrial activities. So for now, let's define the criteria. So the chemist identifies key criteria for selecting soil sampling sites, such as proximity to the industrial zones, historical land use, and previous contamination reports. So for the site selection, you can actually judge on which site you want to proceed. Okay? For example, for site A, you want to proceed with location near a factory known for heavy metal discharge. So since you know that heavy metals are prominent in that area, you can proceed with sampling there. So it's not random because you know that already that there are heavy metals there. Okay? For site B, an area that has been previously tested and shown high levels of lead. So from previous studies, you found out that this area is already being tested, so you may proceed with further sampling on that area since you have already know that previous studies were conducted already on that specific area. Or site C, residential areas adjacent to the industrial site. So you have already know that the source of the contamination is from this location. So you may proceed with the location adjacent to the source of the contamination. Okay? So that is one part of the sampling, which is the judgmental sampling. Next, we have the convenience sampling. Selecting sampling sites not only based on minimizing sampling error and variance. So convenience sampling is a non-probability sampling technique where samples are selected based on their easy availability and accessibility. So while it is not statistically rigorous, it can be useful in exploratory research or preliminary studies. Okay? So let's give a scenario. So a chemist is conducting a quick assessment of the levels of a specific contaminant, such as lead in household dust in a local area. So first, you have to define your objectives. So the chemist aims to evaluate lead contamination in dust samples from homes in a particular neighborhood. So for a sense of convenience, you may select samples based on accessibility. So the chemist decides to collect samples from homes that are easy to access, such as homes of friends or family, or neighbors who agree to participate, or local businesses or community centers willing to provide samples. So the sample collection consists of dust collections from the chosen locations using a standardized method. So for example, you have to proceed with vacuum cleaner attachment or dust wipes to ensure consistency of dust collection. Then you may proceed with the analysis. Maybe you can use AAS or ICP-MS for the analysis of the dust for possible lead contamination. So that is one of the example of convenience sampling. Now let's proceed with the types of sample. So what are the types of sample? So we have here two types of samples. We have the grab and the composite. So the grab provides a snapshot description of the population's properties. So analysis of grab samples over time provides an idea of how properties change over time. So in a sense, a grab sample is a single instantaneous sample collected at a specific time and place, providing a snapshot of the conditions at that moment. Composite naman is a set of grab samples combined prior to analysis. So this is good for determining average properties for a certain period of time. So in that case, in contrast to the grab samples, a composite sample is made up of multiple individual samples collected over time or across different locations, mixed together to provide a more representative average of the entire sampling area or period. So now let's proceed with the determination of amount of sample. So why do we have to determine and how to determine the amount of our sample? So for the determination of sample, we have to minimize sampling errors. So samples must be of an appropriate size, okay? So it must not be too small and it must not be too large. So assuming the population is equally made up of two types of particles, so we have particles A and B. So the number of A with fixed analyte concentration in a sample containing N particles is N sub A is equal to NP, where P is the probability of getting A. Okay? So how to determine the amount of sample? First, we need to calculate for the standard deviation for sampling. So standard deviation represented by SSAP is equal to the square root of NP multiplied to 1 minus P. Okay? So when we calculate for the relatives sampling deviation, so what we do is we just divide the standard deviation for sampling with NP. Okay? So the number of particles providing the desired sampling variance is equal to 1 minus P over P times 1 over SRL samp squared. So yung relative standard deviation for sampling squared is your sampling variance. So yung how aspect of this is you have to homogenize your sample. Okay? So na-mention natin kanina, di ba, na particle pala yung bilangan, hindi yung mass. Okay? So kahit gaano kalaki yung mass nan, kung hindi naman homogenize yung sample mo, so hindi ganong kagandang representative sample yung ating amount na gagamitin for the analysis. Okay? So homogenization is a process which makes the particle size of sample uniform and decreases the particle size, hence, less mass of samples required to reach the required number of particles. So suppose we have 1 gram of sample na isang bloke. After homogenization, so we have 1 gram of 4 particles. Okay? So the well-mixed populations approximate binomial sampling statistics. So in a sense, we have this relationship that MR squared is equal to K sub S, where K sub S is your sampling constant and your R is yung percent relative standard deviation. Okay? So let's have some sample problem. So suppose we are analyzing a soil where the particles containing the analyte represent only 1 times 10 raised to negative 7% of the population. How many particles must we collect to give a percent relative standard deviation for sampling of 1%? Okay. So minsan kasi, during an analysis, ang gusto natin is gantong level lang ng percent relative standard deviation yung gusto ko. So, suppose we have this set percent relative standard deviation, how do we determine the number of particles that we need to collect so that we arrive with this percent relative standard deviation? So, since the particles of interest account of 1 times 10 to the negative 7% of all the particles, the probability P of selecting one of these particles is only 1 times 10 raised to negative 9. So yung percent, ginawa lang natin siya hindi percent. So minove lang natin yung decimal places, kaya naging 1 times 10 to the negative 9. Substituting into the equation gives this representation or expression. So 1 minus P over P times 1 over R, not R squared, S sum, S rel sum squared. Tama ba? Yeah. S rel sum squared. Ayan. Okay. So, na-mention natin dito, di ba, yung percent relative standard deviation is 1%. So, yung S rel sum squared ay yung hindi naka-percent. Okay? So, we get here 1 times 10 to the 13. So, to obtain a relative standard deviation for sampling of 1%, we need to collect 1 times 10 to the 13 particles. Okay? So, try to calculate this on your own and you must arrive with the same answer. So, next example. So, the following data were obtained in a preliminary determination of the amount of inorganic ash in a breakfast cereal. So, suppose this is your mass and its corresponding percent weight ash. So what is the value of the sampling constant and what size samples are needed to give a percent relative standard deviation for sampling of plus minus 2%? Predict the percent relative standard deviation and the absolute standard deviation of if we collect 5 grams of sample. Okay, so how do we proceed from this? So first, to determine the sampling constant, we need to know the average mass of the cereal samples. Okay? So, yung average mass natin, basically, kukunin natin yung average nitong 5. Okay? The average mass of the cereal sample is 1.0007 grams. Next, we get the average percent ash by weight and its absolute standard deviation. And as we calculate it, we get 1.298% and 0.03194%. So bakit natin kailangan makuha yon? Because we need to calculate for the relative standard deviation, yung R natin. Okay? So relative standard deviation is equal to the standard deviation divided by the mean. Okay? So relative standard deviation natin is 0.03194 and the mean of the percent by weight ash is 1.298. So times 100, we get 2.46%. And to give for, or to calculate for the sampling constant, it's just equal to MR squared. So na-calculate natin average mass kanina na 1.0007 grams, i-multiply lang natin sa 2.46. So, bakit naka-percent pa rin to? Kasi, pinultiply natin siya sa R, which is the relative standard deviation. Ang relative standard deviation ay standard deviation over mean times 100. So, naka-percent talaga to. Baka kasi malito kayo kasi yung kanina, di ba, tinanggal natin yung percent, ginawa natin decimal point. Okay? So in this case, we get 6.06 gram. So dapat ang sampling constant natin ay 6.06 grams. Okay? So, next question natin is, to obtain a percent relative standard deviation of 2%, samples need to have a mass of at least what? Ayan. So, suppose meron ka ng case of S, tapos meron kang R na 2%. So, basically, kaya mo na i-calculate yung M, di ba? Yung K sub S, MR squared. Kung ang K sub S ko ay na-calculate kanina 6.06 gram, yung M ay unknown, tapos yung R squared natin ay 2%. So, what is M? Yan. So, now M is equal to 1.5 grams. Ibig sabihin, kung gusto mo daw ng percent relative standard deviation ng 2%, kailangan ang sampling weight mo or sampling mass mo ay equal to 1.5 grams. Sabihin, hindi dapat 1.007 grams yung i-weigh mo. Dapat ay 1.5 grams. Okay? Next, if we use 5 grams of sample, then we expect percent relative standard deviation to be what? Yun. So, we have already calculated the sampling constant kanina. Tapos, meron ito naman yung variable natin na 5 grams. So, you can now calculate for the R. Okay? Kasi K sub S ay M R squared. So, R squared ay K sub S over M. Take the square root of both sides, we get K sub S over M. Okay? The next, and the expected absolute standard deviation. So, ika-calculate mo lang yung standard deviation from the R. So, you get 0.0143%. Okay? So, saan naman galing to? Diba ang R natin ay equal to S sum over X bar times 100. Suppose ang R natin is yung 1.1% na, S sum natin yung kinakalculate, ang X bar natin is 1.298. So dito galing yon yung 1.298 natin. Then, ito wala dapat yung 1.298 divided by 100. So you get the value of 0.0143% weight per weight. Okay? So that is how we calculate for the percent relative standard deviation, sampling constant, and absolute standard deviation. So next naman natin is determination of the number of samples. So ngayon, we have here this formula na mu is equal to X bar plus minus TS sum over N sum. Okay. So dito gagamit kayo ng T-table so that you can get the value of T here from two-tailed T-table. Okay. So when we rearrange this, we can arrive to this formula where E is the relative sampling error. Usually, binibigay itong sampling error natin. Okay? So T depends on the N sum. Thus, N sum is solved iteratively. Okay. So paano yun? So for example, we have here some sample problem. We determine that we need 1.5 gram of sample to establish a standard deviation for sampling of 2% for the amount of inorganic ash in cereal. So, how many 1.5 gram samples do we need to obtain a percent relative sampling error of 0.8% at the 95% confidence level? So, na-establish natin na yung mass, for example, dun sa ating MR squared. Halimbawa, na-establish natin na para magkaroon ng gantong certain sampling deviation, relative sampling deviation, 1.5 grams na yung nakuha natin. Okay? Ang tanong naman ngayon, ilang replicates o ilang 1.5 grams yung kailangan natin? Okay? So that we can arrive to a percent relative sampling error of 0.8% at 95% confidence level. So, because the value of T depends on the number of samples, di ba? Yung T natin, may value tayo ng T. Tapos yung T doon ay depende kung anong natin, DF or degrees of freedom. Okay? So ngayon, because the value of T depends on the number of samples, a result we have yet to calculate, we begin by letting N sum to be infinity. So yung pinakamaraming sample, yung gagamitin natin value of T for this one. Okay? So we have here, ayan. So ang t at infinity, ay 1.960. So t squared, s squared over e squared. Yan. So based from this, kung t ko ay 1.960, ang S ko ay, based from the problem, ay 2%, at ang sampling error ko is 0.8%. So dapat daw, ang number of samples ko ay 24. So meron kang 24 replicates. Okay? So ngayon, next naman natin is, what if 24 yung ating sample? So ano ngayon yung magiging value of t natin? Yan. So suppose 24 siya, kukunin natin yung value of t at 24 and we get that the t is equal to 2.073. Since degrees of freedom yung titigan natin, n minus 1 tayo. So, n minus 1. Kung ang n natin is 24, so titingin tayo sa df na 23. Okay? So ano yung value ng t dun sa 23? So we get there that the value of t is 2.069. Okay? So 2.069 times 2 over 0.8, so we get 26.8. Approximately equal to 27. So from 24, naging 27 yung number of samples ko. Next naman is, we will now calculate n-samp based from n is equal to 27. So, titigan natin yung df na 27 minus 1, so 26. So, ano yung value ng t across 26? And we get here that the value of t across 26 is 2.060. So, upon calculation and sum, we get 27. So, since umulit na yung 27, it is safe to say that we need 27 samples to achieve a percent relative sampling error of 0.8% at the 95% confidence level. So, ibig sabihin, kailangan ko pala na 27 na 1.5 gram sample. Okay? To make it representative of the whole population having a percent relative sampling error of 0.8%. Right? So as mentioned kanina, ito yung 1.96 natin at 95% confidence level. Next ay ito yung sa 23. Then ito yung sa next nating M. Okay. So we'll now proceed with the data treatment of your results from the exercise. Ito yung part 1 ng ating data treatment. Step 1 is you have to calculate the percent Congo red by weight using the following quantities. So on your Excel files, you have to input this. Okay? Absorptivity with this unit, 62,600. The molar mass of Congo red with this unit, 696.665. The path length of the cuvette in centimeter, we have 1. And the volume of the solution in liters is 0.05. Since sa 50 ml vol flask kayo gumawa, so ang ating volume ay 0.05 liter. Okay? Next, you have to calculate the difference of Congo red percent by weight of reading 1 and reading 2. So ito yung pinaka-calculate nyo, yung difference. Pero you have to calculate first yung step 1 natin kanina, yung percent Congo red. So paano gagawin yun? Okay. Okay, so ito yung data natin as a class for suppose this is your data. So ang gagawin nyo is you have to input your absorbance and your mass. Okay? Tapos kanina I mentioned that you have to in, copy yung values na pinakita ko kanina. So how do we calculate for the percent congruent? So di ba we have this relationship from Beer's law that absorbance is equal to yeah, EBC, epsilon BC. Okay? So ang kailangan natin i-calculate is yung concentration. Equal yan sa A over yan. So ang raw data na available sa atin is absorbance. So suppose we have to input yung 0.285 over absorptivity na 62,600. Take note of the unit, molar, centimeter. Multiply to the path length na 1 centimeter. So cancel yung centimeter, aangat yung molar na concentration. So suppose this is a capital letter B. Yeah. Tapos ito yung isa-store ko kay calculator. Store to calcu. Or actually, ito yung, since mag-excel naman kayo, pwede nyo ito ituloy, no? So ang unit nito ay in molar. So sabi dito, you have to present your data in percent by weight. So how do we do this? So from molar na B, ang molar natin ay mole per liter, di ba? So you have to multiply it to the volume na 0.05. Then multiply it to the molar mass to get the corresponding mass in grams. So we have 696.665 gram per mole. So cancel si liter, cancel si mole. So in grams na siya. Ito ay yung letter B natin. Divided by the mass, 0.2583. 0.2583 grams. So you can see gram per gram na yan. So all you have to do is multiply it to 100 to get the percent weight per weight. And i-apply nyo lang yung ating formula here for the first and dito naman yung sa second trial. Tapos, ida-drag down nyo lang yan para mag-apply yung ating formula dun sa lahat ng rows. Okay? So take note to apply dollar sign dun sa mga, lalo na sa mga cells na to para hindi magbago yung position. So like this, E24, E25, 26, and 27 have dollar signs. Okay? Kasi mga magbabago yung position kapag dinrag down yung mga walang dollar sign. Okay? Then for step 2, what I have mentioned is for you to get the difference of the first and second reading. So kukunin nyo lang yung difference ng dalawa. So bali, first minus second. So we have here then, i-ano mo lang to, i-drag down mo lang siya pababa. Okay? So essentially, you're done with the level 4. Okay? So balik tayo sa ating slides. Okay. Okay, so you have established this one na already. So you have calculated for the percent by weight and get the difference. For step 3, you have to calculate the average concentration of 1A1 and 1A2 respectively and apply to all level 3 readings. So di ba meron tayong readings nito? So kukunin mo lang yung average dun sa level 4 and you put it in 1A1, yung mga first reading. Tapos yung mga second reading ay sa 1A2. Ay, hindi pala. Yung mga Yung first test tube, bale. Ito yon. Yung second test tube ay ito. Okay? Then you get the difference of these two. So ito yon. So sa ating tab, so what we did is we get the average of these two in under 1A1. So we get the average of 1A1. So ito yun. Tapos sa 1A2 naman, syempre ito yung nasa baba. Average nito. Okay? Tapos i-apply yan sa buo and we get the difference. So ngayon medyo nagkaka-gist na kayo ng ginagawa natin. No? So for level uh, 4 ito, then for level 3 yung ginawa ngayon. For level 2, so what we will do is we will get this the average of this one para maging ito. Then yung letter B naman, ito. So ito na yung dalawang test tube. Tama ba? Dalawang test tube. Tapos dito, hindi, dalawang test tube, dalawang ball flask to. So yung ball flask A, ball flask 1, ball flask 2. Ito pa rin test tube. Test tube 1, test tube 2. Okay? Then for level 1, we get the average of the 2 vol flask. So ito yun. Average nito, ito yun. Okay? So until level 2, meron kayong difference. Okay? Oops. Okay, so level 3, as mentioned kanina, there's a level 2, we get the average from level 3, then we get the difference. Then for level 1, we get the average from the level 2. Next naman is we will calculate for the variance in each level starting from level 4. So as mentioned earlier, variance is the sum of square of the difference over 8n, where n is the number of level 1 samples. Okay? Then, i-apply natin to for level 3, for level 2, and for level 1 using this formula. Okay. So, balik tayo dito sa slides natin. Ay, sa Excel file natin. So, as mentioned kanina, yung sum of square of difference sa level 4, yun yung level 4 variance. So, from this, ito yung formula natin. So, sum square nitong difference over 8n. Ang n natin ay 4 since we have 4 samples. Okay? So, meron tayong 4 samples kasi we have 4 quadrants. Alright? Next naman ay for level 3. Yan. Sum of square nung nasa level 3 over 4n. And for level 2 naman, sum of square ng difference sa level 2 over 2n. Then for level 1, we get the square of the deviation from the mean over n minus 1. So yung function natin dito ay equal to dev square tapos yung ating array over n minus 1. Okay? So meron tayong variance from level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1. Now, balik tayo sa slides natin. Okay. So una, ika-calculate natin yung each component. So we have established here that the variance in level 4 is equal to the variance of the spectrometer. Okay? So, if we go back to our Excel sheet, yan. You can see here that yung variance score natin ay equal dito sa spectrum. Okay? So, next naman natin ay how do we calculate for the position? Ayan. So, punta tayo sa slides natin. Okay. So, dito sa position, since may value na tayo nito, di ba? May value tayo nito, nito, tsaka ito. Okay. So, for S po, so basically, yung deviation sa level 2 ay equal sa S spec or variance ng spectrometer, S squared pos. So, you will just apply algebraic manipulation here para ma-isolate natin itong S pos. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, since we have uh, variance from level 3 minus variance from spec from level 4 over 2, doon pala equal yung variance due to position. So may value ka nito kanina, may value ka na rin nito kanina. So you get the variance from position. Tapos, ganito rin yung gagawin nyo mamaya. Since meron ka ng value ng variance due to position, meron ka na nito. So basically, meron ka na nito, meron ka na nito, and may value ka nito. You can calculate for the variance due to sample prep. And ganun din yung gagawin nyo for variance due to sampling. Since we have values of this, and this from level 3, from level 2, you can calculate for the variance due to sampling. So when we go back to the Excel sheet natin, so i-apply nyo lang siya dito sa Excel natin. So sa position, so ito yung ginawa natin kanina. Sa prep, ayan. Then for sampling, ito. Okay? Tapos, to calculate for the total variance, all you have to do is get the sum of variance due to spectro, position, sample prep, and sampling. So basically, it's just the sum of these four. Okay? Then, ang next natin gagawin is to get the mean. So the mean of the percent by weight congruent from quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4 ay equal daw sa 0.0865. So di ba kanina, kung natatandaan niyo yung ating formula na mu ay x bar plus minus ts over square root of n. Ayan. So kinakalculate natin yung mu natin ngayon. Yung ating lower confidence limit and upper confidence limit. Okay? So yung ating sample daw, or yung result natin ng percent by weight, using this formula, okay, so dito, yung n natin should have been 4. Ayan. So sa formula natin, ayan. So mean of 0.0865% by weight congruent plus minus this one, 6.83 times 10 to the negative 4. So ang ating lower confidence limit ay 0.0858, upper confidence limit ay 0.0872. Okay? So dapat parehas tayo ng sagot kasi same lang naman tayo ng data na ginamit. Or you can make use of this data para as template. Okay? So proceed tayo sa part 2. So we have already calculated for the total variance. So proceed tayo sa part 2 ng ating discussion on data treatment. Okay. So yung kanina, yung sa ating mu, x bar plus minus ts over square root of n. Yung s natin doon ay yung s total na nanggaling sa square root ng s total. Okay? Kasi yung ating s squared total, ito yung ating total variance na nalaman natin experimentally. Okay? So for part 2, nag-weigh tayo ng different masses, nag-0.25, nag-0.5 tayo, tsaka 1 gram. Pero suma total, same concentration sila, di ba? So dapat, same din dapat yung absorbance na nakuha natin. So you will just apply what we have done during the calculation of percent congruent by weight in each nominal mass. Okay? So first, you have to calculate the average mass ng anim, then average congruent concentration ng anim, and the standard deviation of the calculated congruent to calculate for the S total. Next, you need to calculate for the standard deviation of the repeated measurement of the calculated calculated concentration of the congruent. And calculate for the standard deviation due to sample preparation using the equation below. So ito I suppose ay average concentration to na congruent. Okay? So papakita natin yan mamaya. Tapos, kailangan nyo kopyahin itong table na ito. Okay? So, basically, magagamit nyo dito ay yung 0.25, 0.5, tsaka 1 gram. Okay? So, again, kopyahin nyo yung table na to sa inyong mga Excel sheets. Okay, for step 2, calculate the following. So, yung ating SSAM ay bale, makukuha natin siya since meron tayong total variance, meron tayong variance due to spectrum, variance due to position, and variance due to prep. Makukuha muna natin yung variance due to sampling, then you get the square root of the variance due to sampling to get the standard deviation due to sampling. Bakit kailangan natin si SSAM? For you to calculate the percent RSD. So, ang percent RSD natin ay equal to SSAM over the average concentration times 100. And bakit natin kailangan si RSD? For you to calculate the sampling constant. Again, sampling constant natin ay equal to case of S equal to MR squared. Yung R squared natin, ito yung percent RSD. Then calculate the average sampling constant. And in each nominal mass, calculate the standard deviation due to sampling using the average values of all variables. So basically, magkakaroon ka ng average KS kasi meron kang tatlong nominal mass. Meron kang sampling constant sa 0.25 gram, may sampling constant ka sa 0.5, and may sampling constant ka sa 1 gram. Next, you will get the average of those three sampling constant, hence the KS average. Tapos, meron kang mass average dun sa 0.25, meron kang mass average sa 0.5, and may mass average ka sa 1. So, you get the average of those also. Okay? Then, you will calculate the S-sum. So, paano mangyayari yun? Parang pabalik ang mangyayari. So, we have here R. So, bali, R muna yung makakalculate mo kasi R is equal to S over average concentration times 100. And upon rearranging this, you can calculate for the S-sum. So, basically, S-sum equals percent RSD times concentration divided by 100. Then, you will calculate for the overall concentration or yung OA of the Congo Red natin. And in each nominal mass, calculate OA minus S-sum and OA plus S-sum. So basically, since in each nominal mass, dapat may tatlo kayong ganitong set. May OA minus S-sum and OA plus S-sum in 0.25 gram, in 0.5 gram, and in 1 gram. Then plot the values of the nominal mass against the OA, OA minus S-sum, and OA plus S-sum. Supposedly, ideally, dapat ganito yung itsura nung ating plot. And you have to explain bakit ganito dapat yung plot natin in your full report. Okay? So, balik tayo dun sa ating Excel sheet for you to have a deeper grasp of what we are talking about here. Ayan. So, just like what we have earlier, or what we did earlier, nilagay natin yung mass at absorbance readings dun sa ito yung 0.25, 0.25, 0.5, tsaka 1 gram. Okay? Tapos, nandito na rin yung ating absorbance. Okay. Tapos, what we did is, first you have to check for outliers. So, aning-aning yan. So, just check the G-crit if n is equal to 6 and n is equal to 10. Dito yung n is equal to 6. Then yung n is equal to 10 yung sa 10 ginawa natin. Ayan. So, dapat, on your calculation, dapat walang outlier. Kasi based from our calculation, wala namang outlier na lumabas. So, ang G-crit natin for n is equal to 6 is 1.82. And, ito yung G-crit. And for n is equal to 10, 2.18. So, reject lang yung ating value if the G-calc is greater than the G-crit. So, again, G-calc ay equal to suspected value minus mean over absolute value over standard deviation. Okay? So, in this case, you have to calculate again yung percent Congo Red on just like how you calculated your percent Congo Red in the first part. Okay? So, basically, ganito lang din yung gagawin itong area na. Next, after you have done this, as mentioned earlier, you need to get the average mass. So, kunin yung average mass nung anim. Ito yun. Average ito, tsaka nito. Then, get the average concentration of the Congo Red. Ayan. Ito, tsaka ito. For the three nominal masses. Okay? Tapos, ang next natin gagawin is to get the S total. So, yung S total natin or standard deviation, syempre, yung standard deviation, no results natin. So, standard stdev.s nung array nung ating percent by weight congruent concentration. So, you have to do this on the three nominal masses. Then, for the measurement, you need to get the standard dev of the 10 measured successive readings of the solution 6 here. Yan. So pag nakuha mo yun yung SMES nyo, or standard deviation due to measurement. Okay? Then yung S-prep natin, ito na yan, ito na yung gagamit nating formula. This one. Okay? So, paano ito ginawa? For example, ayan, for our 0.25 gram. So, una, ginamit natin ay yung average concentration na 0.0942. So, 0.0942, okay, percent vapor weight, multiply yan sa square root ng 2 times sigma ng mass squared. So, ang sigma ng mass squared natin ay this one. Yung 0.0001 gram square. Then, the average mass square. Ito yung average mass squared natin, yung 0.2508. So, dapat parehas ang unit nyo, ha? Kasi magka-cancel yan. Gram-gram na yun mamaya. Tapos, yung standard dev due to volume. So, 0.03. Okay, 0.03 square. Over yung volume natin. Ang volume natin ay ito, 25 ml square. So make sure na naka-ml yung volume kasi naka-ml yung ating standard deviation. So cancel, cancel. So after calculating this, you will arrive with this one. Okay? Tapos ika-calculate nyo rin yung sa corresponding 0.5 gram tsaka sa yung sa 1 gram. Okay? Tapos, ang next nan is ika-calculate nyo ngayon si SAM. Okay? So, paano ika-calculate si SAM? So, you will have to start with the total variance. So, equals sa variance ng ano ba ito mga? Variance ng measurement, variance ng prep, and variance ng sampling. Okay? So, meron ka ng value ni, actually may value ka ng S total. May value ka ng S-MES at S-prep. So, all you have to do is get the square of those values. So, from our given, palitin muna natin. So, from our given, so S total ko ay 0.01354 square equal to sa S-MES na 0.0001 square. S-prep na 0.000124928 square plus S squared sum. Yan. So, after rearranging this, you can arrive with S squared sum. Then you can arrive with S sum. Paano? Just get the square root of this one. Tama? So, ito yung value na yon. So, why yung ating formula ay square root ng S total minus S total squared minus S-MES squared minus S-prep squared. And you will do this on the 3 nominal values. Okay? Next, you will proceed with the calculation of RSD. RSD is equal to standard dev over mean times 100. So standard dev ng sampling over mean ng concentration times 100. Then you can calculate for the sampling constant, equal yan sa mr squared. So yung mass natin, average mass, times r calculated square. So you will do this on the three nominal masses. So dapat para sa ng value ng 52, 50, and 21. Suppose we have the same data set. Okay? So dito, nire-arrange ko lang siya. So yung S total natin is yung square nito. Yan. S minus I square nito. At ang S prep I square nito. So ang S sub natin is yung square nung nakuha natin S sub kanina. And ang total dapat ay pag sinum nito, pag kinuha yung sum nitong tatlo, dapat equal siya sa variance total. So, equal naman itong dalawa. Okay? So, yung next naman natin is yung sa nominal mass. So, kukunin natin yung S sub. So, yung S sub natin is you will apply, so you will get here the average K sub S. Yan. So, ito yung average K sub S. KS average equal to mass average R squared. So, ito yung kanina nating formula kanina. So, meron kayong average sampling constant and average mass. Okay? So, all you have to do is you have to rearrange this. So, ito yung ating formula. So, basically, yung R natin, again, ay equal sa S over X bar times 100. So, dapat mukha mo yung S galing dito. So, dapat mag-aral kayo sa value na to as you apply this formula. Okay? Tapos, yung overall concentration ay equal dun sa average itong tatlo from the three nominal masses. Okay? Tapos, yung OA minus S ay equal dun sa OA minus yung S sub on that nominal mass. Okay? So, in that case, siya ay OA minus S sub dun sa 0.25. Yung OA plus S ay OA plus S sub from the 0.25 nominal mass. And you will apply this to the three nominal masses. Okay? Tapos, once magawa nyo to, ang last na gagawin, di ba, is i-plot yung ating nominal mass versus the values. So, ang ginawa ko dito ay, suppose wala ito. So, what I did is, I will copy this one. Tapos, ika-copy paste ko lang siya as values here. Okay? Tapos, per row, copy, then transpose dito sa plotted table natin. Ayan. Okay, transpose. Okay. So this now is your plotted values. And ideally, dapat pag ganito siya. So I mean to say, you reach a more accurate value. Ibig sabihin, mas malapit ka dun sa around the mean na OA if you have higher nominal mass. Pero at what extent ka willing magdagdag ng mass depende dun sa plus minus natin. Okay? So, kayo mag-decide na kung anong percent relative error yung gusto nyong i-achieve. So, depende sa inyo. Or depende sa masaset yung criteria. Okay? So, for the data treatment, you should be able to come up with this data after you have treated your raw data. Okay, so papakita ko lang ulit. Parang naka-stop share ata yung aking screen kanina. So dito, sa data treatment number 2, ito yung ating average mass. We have the S total. We have the SMES in this side. So again, ang SMES is calculated using the standard deviation of the 10 measurements. As you can see, dapat pare-parehas to ng value in tatlong nominal masses. Then SPREP is derived from this formula. So suppose we have to calculate for the SPREP of 0.25 gram. Yan. So ito lang yung mga values na isa-substitute natin dito sa formula na to. Okay? Then for the SSUB, again, you have to make use of this equation. Since meron ka ng S total, S mass, and S prep, calculate first the S squared sum. Then from S squared sum, calculate S sum as to get the square root of the S squared sum. So meron ka ng S sum dito. And bakit kailangan natin calculate si S sum for it to calculate the percent RSD? Kasi ang percent RSD ay S sum over mean times 100. And bakit kailangan calculate si RSD? So that you can calculate for the sampling constant, which is equal to MR squared. So yung M natin doon is yung average mass on that nominal mass times the R squared. O yung na-calculate natin percent RSD. Then after you have done this for the three nominal masses, next yun naman gawin is get the average sampling constant. So ito yun, yung 41. Tapos, i-apply niyo dito yun as you calculate for the S-sum. Okay? So yung pag-calculate ng S-sum natin is using this equation na average sampling constant equals to average mass times R squared. And from the R squared, you can get the S by having this expression na S over X bar times 100. So i-rearrange lang yung ating variables such a way that you can calculate for the S-sum using the KSAV and the average mass on that nominal mass. Okay? Tapos, you will get the overall concentration. So by overall concentration, is just the average of the percent congruent on the three nominal masses. So, ang average nito, ito yung OA. Tapos, you need to calculate for the OA minus S and OA plus S on the three nominal masses. Ito na yon. Then again, to come up with this one, you have to copy this. Then, ita-transpose natin siya dun sa plotted values natin. Copy, transpose, then copy, transpose. And you'll come up with this graph. Okay? So, i-graph niyo yung concentration against the nominal mass. And ideally, if correct yung ating ginawa, dapat pa ganito yung itsura ng graph. Na as you progress with the nominal mass, dapat papaliit siya ng papaliit. Yan. Which is na-achieve naman natin. Okay? So I think this ends the presentation for the sampling, analytical sampling for Chem 137.1. And if you have any questions, you may raise it in our communication platform. Okay? So for now, I will end the discussion and thank you for listening.